Hi, I want to talk a little bit about what I just did there. So, the concept I'm using there is something I learned about years ago in a book called The Jazz Theory Book by Mark Levine or Levine. And in pages 75 to 70, 75, 76, 77, he talks about the minor 2-5-1 progression. And he says that unlike the major 2-5-1, in which all three chords are derived from the same key, for example, D minor 7th, G 7th, and C major 7th are all from C major, the three chords in a minor 2-5-1 are derived from three different melodic minor scales. So you'll see that. So the D minor 7 flat 5 is F melodic minor, the G7 altered is A flat melodic minor, and the C minor major 7th, or I think I play a 6 and 6-9 is from the C melodic minor. So if you look in the description below the video, you'll see I have a PDF with these the licks that I just played. I just tried this. I tried to start on the different notes of the scale, and I tried to come up with phrases that I thought were interesting. And then, as far as the backing track, I recently picked up this Novation Launch Key 49. So I've been trying to learn some different things with the software, with the Novation. The different software that comes bundled together. So one of the things that you have in there is Ableton Live 12 Lite. So I've been learning how to use that software. So that backing track was all done in Ableton using the clips and all the things like that. So I'll just talk briefly about what I used there. So the Flugelhorn sound. That's just the AC Flugelhorn. That's just the stock plugin. Then all the horns that you hear for the chords, that was a sign player. That's another software that you get with Novation with orchestral tools, and that's, I believe, it's been a while. It's been a number of weeks since I did that. I think it's a ratio piano. I think it's a Rhodes, and then I think it's called rotary big band horns. So that's just the chords that I played on my guitar in the Notion software, and then I just turned that into the chords. The drums are just basic drums that I just entered in the MIDI notes. I think it's called 505 or something like that. It's one of the presets in Ableton. And then for the bass, that's just I think that's just an upright bass, and that's just really just basic notes: C, D, G, G, C. That's really all. All that is. Then an interesting note. So the way I composed the score is. The basic score was done on an iPad using Notion Mobile, and they have a template in there. I think it's called Jazz Combo. So I used that as my starting point. Entered in all the different, the notes of that was the Flugelhorn, and then the piano. The piano and horns are just me playing guitar chords. Entered it into the iPad, and then the MIDI is exported out. So I'll just talk briefly about the chord voicings: D, A flat, C, F, and then G, F, B, E flat, G7, sharp 5, and then I used C, E flat, B flat, D, C minor 9, and then C, E flat, A, D minor 6, 9. So I just took those chords, plugged them into the into the iPad and into this score, and then exported the MIDI out, and then that's where you got those chords, which are two pianos and a bunch of horns. I think the other thing that's kind of interesting, if you notice, my tone is kind of distorted, but I thought it worked. I thought it worked really well with the Flugelhorn. Yeah, so to my mind, it kind of sounds a little bit like Mahavishnu, like some of McLaughlin's tones in Mahavishnu. It because he's playing through a Marshall. I'm playing through this 1-watt Blackheart, which was recently modified. So it sounds pretty good. Now I'm not using the boost. So this is everything is about halfway up. So and I have my guitar tone all the way up too, and I'm hitting pretty hard. So it's got a nice singing. A nice singing tone. Then I have a little bit of delay in there. Okay, and then going back to Ableton, so so I'm using some stock plugins. I use the Sign Player, from Orchestral Tools, and then I'm also using a couple other plugins that I think are really cool from KLEVGR. I'm messing that up. I'll put that in the description in the notes. But one's called LUXE, LUXE. So that was some of the when you're listening to the Flugelhorn. It has a nice delay, and then there was also what is that thing called? I'm not remembering what it's called now. There was a reverb plugin, a ROVerb. So just listen a little bit to that Flugelhorn. Yeah, so that's what you're hearing in the backing track of Ableton. So as I said in my last video, so that's been kind of a big learning experience. Working on my keyboard skills, and then also trying to learn Ableton Live Lite. Since I've been a Logic Pro user for many years, so that's been a learning experience. But it's good, for making these backing tracks. I could So in probably a day or so, I'll go ahead and publish this track as a separate track, so that way you'll be able to play the lick that I have here, and then there'll be a blank backing track that you can play along with. Okay, and then also I'm using a kind of a heavier pick here today too. I'm using the Ernie Ball Prodigy. I haven't used that for a while. All right, so once again, I think that helps to get that kind of McLaughlin-ish kind of sound. Because I'm pretty sure back in those days he was using a pretty, almost like a, not quite a Jazz 3, but it was like a little, like almost like a teardrop. I think that's what he used. A fairly thick pick. And things like that. Okay, well, thanks for listening and watching, and we'll see if I can, put together some more ideas with this melodic minor. I have been spending quite a bit of time putting together some different melodic minor ideas. So this is the latest one coming up with these what I'm calling melodic cells. So the idea of melodic cells is that it doesn't necessarily mean that you play exactly as written. Yeah, so you can change the rhythm. And then here I do a little fall off there. Yeah, so whatever you want to do, use these as almost like a basic starting point, a template, melodic cell, and then expand on that. Okay, thanks for listening and watching.